Streamlabs, not Streamlabs, Instagram.
Okay, we're back online. We're back live. Apologies for those technical difficulties. We're not quite sure what's happening with the technology, with the Wi-Fi at the moment. We will try and get this sorted for future weeks. Unfortunately, yeah, of course, we have had difficulties in the past, but hopefully those are now behind us as we are on board with Alderney. So the riders have tackled the main climb on the course, and we have got Chloe and Hannah out front, seconds back, Frankie a further 8 seconds behind, Flora 10 seconds behind Alderney, so 2 behind Frankie. So these riders, what they really need to do now over the course of this descent is to come together so they can work well and they can keep rolling through on the desert flats part of the course, because of course that is where the most. But the good news is, as we're on board, it's proven us in our team, in our lineup. So yeah, I suppose it makes complete sense that she's going to be the one to try and bring Flora back to the group if she's kind of tailed off from the climb a little bit. So I believe it was Chloe and Hannah employed the interesting tactic of actually they went slightly ahead of the rest of the riders going over the bridge into the reverse KOM. They got around 10 seconds on the likes of Alderney and Frankie, so they gave themselves a little bit of a buffer going into the climb, going into the slopes, and that actually seems to have worked extremely well for them because they are now in a trio with Alderney, and one would assume that perhaps Flora struggled a little bit on the climb, and Frankie is now just bringing her back into this trio here, so they will now become a quintet very soon, hopefully.
I just realised that I've been trying to watch it and it's been on pause, so I just need to catch back up for a second. So the time gap is coming down to Rocacorba very slightly. Now down to 1 minute 8 seconds, so it looks like they're trying to do a negative split today. Quite interesting tactic. It could work quite well, but we'll have to see over the coming kilometres if that time gap continues to come down, or the Lightning Recruitment Group riders extend it even more, back to 1 minute 30 as it was before.
I think having watched the previous team time trials, so the last one in London, where Loughborough Lightning Recruitment Group ended up finishing second, and of course the first week in France, where we clinched the win. I think having looked at the stats from both of those races, our riders tend to do better on the hills and on the hillier courses, so it would make sense that we've put time into the Rocacorba riders over the first half, shall we say, which includes the main climb of the race. So it will be about limiting losses as we transition from the forest area of the Watopia course out into the desert, which of course is just pan flat.
Yeah, so this is probably the easier part of the circuit now. It is basically pan flat for another around 10 kilometres, twisting through the Fugo. Is it the Fugo flats?
I believe it's pronounced Fuego, I think. Matt.
Fuego. Fugo.
Maybe I'm just being... maybe I'm pronouncing it.
Yeah, so the Fugo flats, a good place for if you want to do a 10-mile time trial on Zwift. I know I've commentated before on some local virtual club 10s on this circuit. It's quite scenic. It's not very scenic, is it? But it's obviously on Zwift you need a good variety, and this is definitely a good riding. Get lots of kilometres in relatively easily. Obviously Zwift has got a lot of mountains. You've got the Epic KOM, Outdoors, Vontu, got a couple of hilly circuits, but sometimes it's nice to just sit on the flat and just ride along at a high speed as what this part of the circuit was designed for, really.
I guess the key bit here now is, as you said, it's easier in inverted commas to kind of get that advantageous, the optimum line position, so one rider in front of the other and kind of rolling through from the front to the back. I guess it's a lot easier to do on this kind of terrain than the rolling hills. So I mean, I'm not sure whether the stream is down when I mentioned it earlier, but all the girls, all the riders are in the same room together with the appropriate COVID protocols in place. They're in one of the fitness suites in Sir David Wallace at the moment, so they will all be able to communicate to each other and kind of look at each other and see how they're all feeling. And although Discord is brilliant with the modern technology, we're using Discord right now to commentate to you today. But I know personally, I would much prefer to be in the same room as my teammates, and I think hopefully that will give them the edge tonight.
Yeah, it's always much easier just to shout across the room than to shout through your phone, really, isn't it? Yeah, so obviously this technology is increasing, well, especially the last 12, 13 months has been very big for Zwift and big for technology. A lot more people are live streaming their events. Obviously, you've got the big streamers, Ed Laverack, Cam Jeffers, people like that. And it's just put this form of cycling on the map, really. It's definitely got a lot bigger. You had the world champs last year. You had as we've said before, it's just an incredible platform. It's a good way to race with your friends, or even just to ride with your friends. But obviously tonight we're racing. It's definitely an incredible workout for you. Simulates real life, apart from going around corners and stuff like that. But it's a really good training tool, as I've said.
Oh, sure. So now Frankie and Hannah are slightly off the front, with Chloe, Flora and Alderney in a nice just 2 seconds behind. They're now well over halfway into this team time trial.